Gotta come now.
Oh, wait a minute, Steve. Tell us what happened.
Well, I'm trying to tell you. Now, this thing had killed the doc.
Well, what was it?
Stop with it, kid. But it's kind of like a mass that keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Like a falling star from outer space.
Boy, that was close. Hey, come on. I want to see if I
No
can find
stopping
it.
the blob as it spreads from town to town.
Well, nearly every fire department in Oldham County was called to the scene of an asphalt fire this afternoon. Plumes of black smoke from the blaze could be seen for several miles.
Upon the dispatch, we had heavy black smoke showing. We knew at that point we had a well-involved fire.
And moments after that dispatch, the WLKY news chopper was on the scene capturing these pictures. A second alarm was hit and area departments were called in with tanker trucks. The blaze was so intense it melted away the outside cover of this tank. Louisville Fire was asked for a foam truck.
When you have this much potential petroleum involved, any kind of diesel or asphalt products like this, foam is our #1 firefighting technique here. We want to make sure we get as much foam as possible.
Let's just start with programmable matter.
Shape-shifting material that can transform itself in real time, changing colors and shape on demand. It sounds like special effects you would see in a sci-fi movie, but this is no illusion. Researchers at Intel teamed up with the academic community to make what they call programmable matter.
The basic idea is the notion that you could have a material that could change its shape or change its physical properties just by reconfiguring itself.
Forget about designing something in flat 2 dimensions. What about creating a 3D prototype of anything, even a car?
Open the doors, kick the tires, peek inside to see what it looks like, fit little dolls of, people inside of it.
This space-age stuff is like putty in your hands. Programmable matter is still in the early developmental stages. But Intel's Andrew Chin says one day we may be able to morph objects on demand to fit our human needs.
So for example, I have a Bluetooth earpiece and it fits me great, but then when I put on my sunglasses, it doesn't fit anymore. Wouldn't it be nice if it could change its shape subtly, right, to all of a sudden match that? All of these things are possible with programmable matter.
Forget phone calls, forget video calls. I would be able to create a full 3-dimensional Claytronic version of myself that could appear in front of you and give you a handshake or even a hug. The entertainment applications for this alone are astounding. Imagine playing a video game and the characters literally leap off the screen and become 3-dimensional creatures in your home. And if this stuff becomes plentiful and cheap enough, we could have objects disassembling and reassembling themselves everywhere. Let's say I've got a bunch of friends coming over for dinner and I want to make sure I got enough seats for them. Well, I could use Claytronics to build the furniture right then and there. Then, when my guests leave, I could have it disassemble back into those individual catoms and go into a vat for storage.
Programmable matter is already becoming a reality, and we've been shown this stuff in Hollywood movies forever. Yet another instance of predictive programming. So now let's move on to smart dust.
This powder-sized chip, and that's a salt crystal, so this is a small thing. It's something called the Mu chip from Hitachi. It's the smallest commercially available RFID system in the world. and can be pulse powered by radio waves. It doesn't require a battery. You can literally scatter this stuff like dust or embed it into a sheet of paper. And you know what the really interesting thing about this technology is? This was commercially released 10 years ago. So, the inevitability of smart dust. So what is smart dust? Well, smart dust, of course, isn't a new concept. It originated with DARPA back in the 90s. And it's general purpose computing, sensors, wireless networking, all bundled up into millimeter scale sensor modes, drifting in the air currents, flecks of computing power settling on your skin, ingested, monitoring you inside and out.
But in the future, every square inch of every city will be alive with intelligence. Because every street and every building will have a network of microcomputers built right into them. Dr. Chris Pister calls it smart dust.
A smart dust particle, or mote, is a wireless sensor with sensing, computation, communication, and power in one package.
These all-in-one microcomputers will be small, very small.
The size of a mote today is about the size of a grain of rice. And we've shown that we can make the circuitry small enough and light enough that eventually it will be possible to make things that are on a sub-millimeter size scale.
Tiny specks of computer smart dust will form a vast invisible network that can help manage the infrastructure of even the largest city.
Smart cities in the future will take this low-power, inexpensive, small technology and basically distribute it everywhere.
These tiny computers record information about their surroundings, information they can send to other computers or to you. Smart dust on the tracks will monitor your commuter train so you know if it's running late. Potholes will be able to report themselves and warn your car, and you'll never have to wait for a radio traffic report again.
They're monitoring the flow of traffic and giving you alerts about what route is the right way to go to keep the traffic moving.
Bridges will get a coating of smart dust particles that can warn us when they detect stress fractures, helping avoid deadly collapses. But smart dust will also allow buildings and streets to recognize you and respond accordingly.
I think increasingly the environment will respond to who we are and adapt in consequence.
The city will know where you are if you want it to.
Your workplace will know you. Smart dust at the entrance will boot up your computer. And smart dust embedded in the elevator doors will automatically ring your floor.
Smart dust is going to sense the environment and allow us to improve the way that we live our lives. Smart cities in the future will take this low-power, inexpensive, small technology and basically distribute it everywhere.
Potholes will be able to report themselves and warn your car, and you'll never have to wait for a radio traffic report again.
They're monitoring the flow of traffic and giving you alerts about what route is the right way to go to keep the traffic moving.
Potholes will be able to report themselves. Potholes will be able to report themselves. Potholes will be able to report themselves.
Asphalt cement is a byproduct of crude oil, the key ingredient they mix with crushed rocks and other minerals to make paving asphalt. So production begins at the paving plant's quarry, where some 15 meters below ground, workers driving heavy machinery collect boulders of granite that have been blasted off the rock walls. When it's time to make the asphalt, the rocks travel via conveyor belt from the storage area to a screening building to be classified by size. After this last crushing stage, the largest stones are 2 centimeters in size. Everything smaller than 5 millimeters goes in one pile. That includes stone dust created by the crushing process. Exactly what goes into the paving asphalt depends on what's being paved, but generally, these are the 4 ingredients. Sand, stone dust, 5 to 10 millimeter stone, and 10 to 14 millimeter stone. The ingredient proportions vary according to what the paving asphalt will be used for. The remainder, added later, will be liquid asphalt cement. Everything then goes into a mixer. As this demonstration shows, the mixer blends everything thoroughly. Then it's time to pump in hot asphalt cement. Oil refineries make asphalt cement from what's left over after they've processed crude oil. The paving mix contains about 5% asphalt cement. This is what happens inside the mixer. The hot asphalt cement binds the ingredients in about 30 seconds. The result is ready-to-lay paving asphalt. The mixer empties directly into trucks destined for the paving site. There, a paving machine will spread the hot asphalt on the road bed. Then, a compactor roller will pack it down. The asphalt cools and hardens in about...
Early next day, everyone was keen, rested, and in search of a new experience. Many times they had passed a sign to Engaddi, and they had since learned that it was a very important historical site. This area then became the next goal for the expedition. Whilst driving past the Dead Sea en route for Engaddi, many signs warning of open pits were noticed. This rang a bell with Simon, who remembered reading something about pits in this area. He asked Einar to stop, recalling Genesis 14. The king of Sodom, the king of Gomorrah, the king of Admah, the king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, that is Zoar, marched out and drew up their battle lines in the valley of Siddim. Could this be the valley of Siddim? It could very well be. The Bible says it happened by the Dead Sea, that is the Salt Sea, between the cities of the plain, and that's where they were standing at that moment. Finding another warning sign, they decided to discover what manner of pits the Bible referred to. Curiosity came to the fore. How big are they? How deep? How dangerous? They began to walk gingerly onward, keeping well clear of any soft-looking patches of ground. No one wanted to suddenly disappear. They came to a small ditch with a thin layer of shell over it. Things were getting interesting. This could obviously be a trap for the unwary. Nearby were larger pits, 2 to 3 feet deep, and Simon climbed a little way into one, noticing that the bottom appeared very dark in color. As they walked further on, another biblical verse sprang to mind. Genesis 14, verse 10. And the vale of Siddim was full of slime pits, and the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled, and fell there, and they that remained fled to the mountains. The group were surrounded by these pits, some huge and deep, and once again, the accuracy of the Bible amazed them. The bottom of these deeper pits could most definitely be described as slime. Looking behind them, the mountain stood, dark and brooding, and they that remained fled to the mountains. Obviously, the pits had been uncovered over thousands of years by the gradual evaporation of the Dead Sea, because traces of crystalline salt and other minerals could clearly be seen shining on the crusted edges.
The evidence from the ruins in Iraq, the ancient tablet descriptions, and the account of the tower's construction create a compelling case that the Tower of Babel was real. But how did the biblical story come about? For experts, the answer can be found by looking back to one of the most significant events in history. This is an original brick from Babylon. It carries traces of an unusual construction material from the time: bitumen, an ancient tar mortar that's specifically mentioned in the biblical tale.
Tucked in the corner of this case is something very interesting for people who are interested in the Tower of Babel, because this is one of the actual bricks. Down the edge you can see this murky black stuff. This is bitumen. In the book of Genesis, it literally says that they use brick for stone and bitumen for mortar. It's expressly said there. What we have here is one brick and its bitumen, which fits exactly into that special context.
All the evidence says the Tower of Babel was a real building. Could it have been destroyed? Just as the Bible says.
Can you guys see how all this might tie together? They could very well be distributing smart dust and many other things into our system using chemtrails, sunblock, lotion, other hygiene products, medicine, and even food and drink. Is this part of an ongoing plan to turn human beings into walking receivers that are dumbed down by toxins and filled with heavy metals? Robot zombie citizens that can easily be tracked and identified as they travel through the smart cities? Are we in the process of a full-on gray goo takeover? Well, I think so.
delle lukmuk. Te shayana king badish. Alune shet yan